Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this episode of One-on-One. I'm Martin Foss, and I'm very excited today because we're going to have Dr. Dicky Haydel as our guest on One-on-One. We're going to talk about his start, where he lived, how he grew up in that very strong, medically bound Haydel family. We'll talk about his LSU days. We'll talk about Tunnel Run, Nutriman. We'll bring you all around the gambit and find out what makes Dr. Dicky Haydel tick. It's all next. Don't go away on this episode of One-on-One. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. I would see the old pictures of your dad when you'd walk in the Haydel Medical Clinic and you'd sit down. Right in front of you was, if I could recall correctly, was an old picture with you. You were just coming back from the service, I think, but he always had that bag in his hand. And I think it might have been Pat or Mike that showed me some old pictures one time. And your dad always had that medical bag in his hand. He made a lot of house calls, didn't he?
I made plenty of house calls. Actually, that's how we learned how to drive. Back in those days, to go to buy the lodge, the little guy was all shell roads, and there wasn't a whole lot of cars out there on the road.
Yeah.
So when it was time for you to drive, he'd let you drive him on the shell road because there wasn't too much traffic. So we'd drive to the end of the road, and he'd get out and get in the pirogue and go make a house call and come back with a nice chest of shrimp and put it in the car. And he let me drive home. We had a bunch of those house calls.
He would
like
get
that.
a pirogue?
Sometimes they had a couple of pirogue patients that they had to go over there and make house calls.
That is incredible. Does that happen today?
No, not any pirogues. We don't go in any pirogues. We still make a few house calls, but we don't go into pirogues.
Well, what was his demeanor like? He was larger than life when we were growing up because we knew so much about him, but we never met him. Mm-hmm. What was his demeanor like?
His demeanor was just, he was kind of laid, he was laid back. He didn't fuss a whole lot. He just kind of worked most of the time. He came home, smoked a cigar. He didn't watch much.
Was he a workaholic?
He worked all the time. He worked on Saturday. He worked on Saturday. The office was open on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Then he'd come home and he'd see patients in the garage in the back on Saturdays, and he'd see patients in the garage on Sunday. Kind of had a little garage office on weekends. So he worked all the time. I don't ever remember him doing much. We try to go on a vacation. We go to Mississippi, but to the Gulf Coast for. We were supposed to go for 5 days. We'd stay 2 or 3, and then we'd have to come back because he wanted to go back to work.
Yeah,
so he pretty much worked most of the time. He didn't have a lot of side effects that he liked to do, side things, but he did play golf. He had probably the worst golf swing. He reminded me now of Barkley. His swing was so bad, but he hit the ball straight. He should have shot bogey golf most of the time, but I don't know. Ask me how, because I can't do that. And I have a better swing than he had.
Was he tall? Was he a big guy? Huh?
He was heavy, kind of heavy. Yeah, he was about 6 foot.
Yeah,
just about like that.
But you're describing your dad, and I'm thinking of you. And you work all the time. You work all. No, not heavy. You work all the time. You get away for your family stuff and for LSU, and then you're working again. I remember I'd come to work early all the time here. Whenever I passed the Haydel clinic, there's Dr. Dicky's car. I remember when I was getting off and I'm going home, there's Dr. Dicky's car. You just love to work, don't you?
Well, I don't know. Medicine has just been fun for me. I just think that's the. I don't know. I guess it was my calling. I got started in it, and I have more fun seeing patients than I do doing many other things. But I still get away and do a lot of other things. So.
Yeah, you do, but you still like to work. I've known that about you. All right, let's go back to Point Street. What the heck was there to do on Point Street when you're growing up as a kid?
The greatest time of my life was on Point Street. Yeah. You know, I lived right across the street from St. Francis de Sales. It was really a nun's home when we first moved there.
Yeah.
But they had the most gorgeous grounds with oak trees, big wide open fields, and this is before it became a school. So every day when I was growing up and as a kid, wake up in the morning, go across the street, and the whole neighborhood would meet, and you'd play baseball, football, basketball, soccer. You'd play every game known to man with the neighborhood kids. So every day, your mama didn't have to worry about you watching TV or doing anything else because you were out of that house into that lot across the street where all the neighborhood kids were. We always found things to do, from marbles to, crazy games we could play over there. It was just amazing.
I'm going to get back to the TV because not many people had a TV, but y'all had one?
We did have one late. Maybe when I was about 7 or 8, we might have got a TV.
Okay.
And it was it was really a little bitty thing.
Yeah.
The screen was about that big.
Right.
And I remember everybody got excited and said, look, we have a color TV down the street. So everybody would all run down the street. The first color TV, they had 3 different colors painted on the screen. That was the first, what I thought was a color TV. But we had TV kind of late. It wasn't a big deal in my house.
You didn't have many choices on channels?
Not many choices on channels. My mother kind of liked all those daytime
soap
operas and Days of Our Lives. She used to make me sit there and watch that with her. I hated all those soap operas.
Yeah, you were ready to be outside playing.
I wanted to find a baseball game, but they weren't televising much sports back then.
Right. All right, so we go back to the playground where across the street, because that's a little before my time also, but you said they had oak trees all over that property?
It was the most beautiful grounds. I don't know if you've seen pictures that are painted by lots of artists of that particular school area.
I have seen that.
They had the most gorgeous oak trees, and if they could have made that into something different than what it is now, that would probably still be a great landmark here in Houma. I was real disappointed when our Monsignor sold the land for commercials rather than keeping it like it was.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
You sort of like the old history, huh?
The history was really good. It wasn't a school. The school was where St. Francis is now. That's where I went to the grammar school. But then they moved the 5th grade, I think it was, and they decided to make the girls, the nuns' convent into a school. And they built some buildings along the left side of it, and that's where we had 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th grades. And then they put in the main building, they made the 9th through the 12th grade. So they had changed a lot of those sleeping quarters into classrooms. So the whole school was there. Then that's when came the handball courts, the basketball courts, the baseball field that Buddy Marcello put together there. And that's when kind of that whole area really blossomed. Then we really started playing a lot of stuff there when that happened.
So you got to hang, I call that sort of genuine fun back then. Y'all didn't have all these video games to play inside and different things. So if you wanted to play, y'all were always out on the playgrounds. Did y'all make the rounds, like go to Levron, come back here, or do different fields?
Well, normally they didn't have any real fields. They had just maybe a couple of open areas. But we would all meet and we'd choose up teams. I don't know if you remember, everybody would get a bat and everybody would hold the bat and you'd go up
with
the bat
hand.
and get to the tight and then they'd see who gets the first choice.
You cap it.
They cap it.
Yeah.
Whoever throws the bat, he gets the first choice. So we'd choose up teams all the time. I had a couple of bad moments in there because we had a lot of girls played baseball with us on that little lot next door.
Yeah.
A couple of girls would always get chosen before I would. That was kind of a tough thing to take back then. And I still talk to those girls that were chosen before me back then. And but as we played a lot of baseball there, and every now and then we'd have a little team and we'd cross the tracks and play against the kids from across the tracks on the other side.
I got to ask you, who's the girls that got picked before you?
It was the 2 Dwaron girls that lived right down the street from me.
Okay.
And they were excellent athletes, really good.
But you later played for LSU. So did that put a fire in you and burn in you and say, I'm going to show them one day?
No, I just played. You just played so often. Sports just came along. You played across the street, then you played Little League with all your friends, then you played Babe Ruth with all your friends, and then you played high school with all your friends. and you just play. You just had so much playing, and you developed, and I guess sometimes you get better. Mm-hmm. And I was just lucky enough to get to play at LSU.
But a lot of people who know you as a physician, and everybody, I guarantee you, that there may be a handful of people in this town, and they probably knew, who don't know who Dr. Dicky Haydel is. But a lot of people would probably be shocked. I know we did a thing on your football team a while back, but you were a pretty good athlete back in the day.
I tell you what, I wish I'd inherited some speed, because I could have been a good athlete. I had no speed at all. I was the slowest player in every sport that I played.
Yeah.
So that kind of really hindered my ability. But I got to play.
You played college baseball.
Yeah. Well, back then they didn't have all the great talent that they have today. I couldn't even get on the team when I look at those players today.
Well, I mean, granted, but still, to qualify to play at LSU, you got to be pretty good.
It could be fair. You can play if you were fair.
So that's the one thing you were lacking was speed, huh?
Big time lacking speed, but that's all right. I still got to enjoy all the sports that I played, where they were all fun.
Right. So, but you were surrounded by guys like Harold Haydel and people. What was it like playing, or did you bat off of him early? What was that like?
All the way growing up, I batted off. Actually, at Little League, we were on the same team.
Right.
But on Babe Ruth, we were on different teams. I got to bat against him in Babe Ruth. Then he was on my team when we played.
Well, what was it like batting against him at that age?
Oh, nothing. He's a regular old guy. He was pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good. But when we got to high school, you had to take batting practice off of him. He wouldn't throw you anything but knuckleballs. And you talk about 90-mile-an-hour fastball followed by knuckleballs was not fun.
Really?
But he was an excellent pitcher.
Yeah, he just developed.
He just got better and better as time went on, yes.
Yeah, and of course we had his wife, Miss Mary, was our 8th grade teacher at Vanderbilt, and we all had crushes on her. Until that day, she let me know that Harold was getting inducted at Vanderbilt, and I put to my 8th grade crush teacher, Miss Mary. Yeah, so at least now we could joke about it.
That's right. That's
back in the day. So when did you decide? You might have known this when you were 3 or 4, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Everybody else around you was in medicine. When did you decide, hey, I'm going to be a doctor?
I never decided. I never thought of anything else. The only other thing I thought I wanted to be was an NBA basketball player.
Yeah.
But my speed wasn't too good. My shooting wasn't too bad, but my speed wasn't too good. And my defense wasn't too good, and I couldn't touch the rim. When I was 6'2" in high school, I still couldn't touch the rim. So I knew I wasn't going to make it that far. But nothing ever else crossed my mind.
Wow. So it was just, I don't know, it's almost like a inherited behavior or thought process, or a learned one because you were surrounded by it, but you just went that route.
I think so. I guess I was not very open-minded about my future. I kind of just figured that's what I was supposed to do from day one. So.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
There's a lot of people that are thankful that you decided to do that. How many patients you think you've seen? Have you ever counted?
No, but it's been a lot.
Thousands and thousands.
I would think eventually. I've seen the same ones a bunch of times as well. It had been a lot of patients.
But my God, I mean, it's just the amount of people that you see. Well, what's an average day for you? Like how many patients?
Well, we used to see a lot before we had the charity hospital or emergency room physicians or urgent care. We used to see 100 patients a day maybe. Wow. And most of the doctors in Houma was the same.
Yeah.
They would see plenty patients because they didn't have that many doctors. When I first came to town, we were in the 40s or 50 doctors. Now they're in the hundreds. Yeah. So, it's a lot less now.
But how did you do that with your personality? Because maybe that's why you work late. Because you'd walk in, how you doing? man.
We didn't have appointments when we first came. The patients just came to the office and lined up. So you just started and you didn't stop. So then we tried to make appointments, and then you would have more work-ins than you had appointments. So it just kept, you just got there, started, and finished, and that's went one right after the other.
Do you find your personality help calm people down? Because most people that had the doctor, you can put that blood pressure cuff on them, it's going to be 20 points higher, the white coat syndrome. You find your personality helped ease them up a little bit?
I have no idea.
I think it did.
I have no idea.
I'll editorialize.
I don't know what my personality does to my patients, but we have a good time in my office with them, I promise you that.
All right, there's no doubt. All right, let's go to Vietnam. When did you know you were going? How did that take place? And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I was an intern at Charity Hospital, and the Vietnam War was going on, and they were drafting physicians.
What year was that?
I don't know, 66, something. No, it was 69, maybe. I want to say
right.
69 or 70. And I was an intern, and I was thinking about doing an OB residency, and the thing out there now was a berry plan. I was married and had a couple kids, and they had what they call a berry plan, where whatever, if you decided to do a residency, whatever residency you did, you owed the Army not only your 2 years, but that many years. So OB was like 4 years, and I'd have to spend another, after I did 2 years in the service, I'd have to spend another 4 years with the Army. So I'd have been out for like, maybe 8, 10 years before I could start practicing. So I said, oh, look, I got 3 kids in diapers. I'm going to take my chances. So I decided not to get the berry plan, and they drafted me out of my internship. So I said, well, good, I got drafted. I guess I'll go in the Army for my 2 years. And I know with 3 babies in diapers, they're not going to send me to Vietnam. Well, the first orders I got was I'm going to Vietnam. So I got drafted, and I spent my first year in Vietnam and my second year in San Antonio.
Wow. How was that? What did you do when you were there? Tell me like an average day for Dr. Dicky Haydel in Vietnam.
Well, I would say I was lucky. We had a little hospital on the front line in North Vietnam when I was there, on the north part of South Vietnam. And it was 181st evac hospital. It was more of a medical hospital because we had a big evac hospital about 5, maybe 12 miles past us. We had all the surgeons in the hospital and the surgery suites. So we had a lot of medical issues we had to take care of. We had a lot of trauma, a lot of gunshot wounds that were what we would call minor, not major. A couple of punctured wounds that we could put, punctured lungs, we could do chest tubes and stuff. But the real bad stuff that we let the helicopters fly past us.
Yeah.
So we saw patients all day long. We had about 4 doctors there, and we would see patients there. And I spent 6 months in the north, and then I spent 6 months in the south part in Da Nang.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits & Downer Law Firm. This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits & Downer.
Where sugar cane is grown, so much to see on HTV. Stick with us 'cause we're your home.